right, welcome back everybody to another deep dive. We're tackling something that's pretty timely today.
Yes.
This is a big one.
Huge.
And we are going to be looking at an ABC News article from December 18, 2024.
Okay.
And the headline is, Supreme Court to hear arguments on TikTok ban.
Wow.
So that's what we're diving into today, and it is
Yeah.
a pretty big stake.
I know, right? It's crazy.
I mean, are we going to see TikTok survive in the U.S.?
Right.
What does this fight tell us about, the power of social media,
Yeah.
free speech, national security?
All these big issues.
It's a huge can of worm.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's get into
I
it.
think the thing that is like the most pressing that jumped out to me right away reading this article was the timeline.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so arguments are being heard by the Supreme Court
Yeah.
on January 10th,
Okay.
but the potential ban is looming just 9 days later,
9 days. Yeah, that's
just January 19th.
that's such a tight turnaround.
I know. That's like barely enough time to like
Yeah.
binge watch a season of anything.
I know, right? It's crazy.
So why such a short window for such a huge decision?
Well, I think that just kind of speaks to the urgency
Okay.
that the courts are placing on this issue.
Okay.
They're recognizing that this is a big deal, it's very timely, and that it has the potential for some, pretty big impact.
Yeah.
This is not just another, legal battle about technology.
Right.
This could actually set a precedent for how governments globally are going to be regulating these online platforms.
Okay. So TikTok is claiming that a ban on their app would essentially be
Right.
a violation of the First Amendment rights
Right.
of its 170 million
Wow.
users here in the U.S.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. So for folks that maybe aren't, legal scholars,
Right.
the First Amendment protects freedom of speech and expression.
That's right.
So how does that apply here?
Well, basically, TikTok is saying that if you ban this app, it would be the same as silencing. You know what is essentially a massive public forum?
Yeah.
It's not just about, people losing access to funny videos or whatever.
Right.
For a lot of users, this is how they connect with their friends.
Yeah.
It's how they share their creative work, their art. Some people are building businesses.
That's their livelihood.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. But I imagine the government has a pretty strong counterargument.
They do.
So what is the government's main concern here?
National security.
Okay.
That is their main concern.
And why?
They fear that there is potential for data harvesting,
Okay.
content manipulation by the Chinese government because, remember, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance,
Oh, yeah, ByteDance.
is based in China.
Okay.
So essentially, they are worried that sensitive user data could be accessed or that the content that we see on TikTok could be influenced for political purposes.
Okay, so break that down for me a little bit.
Sure.
Data harvesting, what exactly does that mean?
So, data harvesting, in this context, refers to the collection of user information.
Okay.
This could be anything from, basic things like your location,
Right.
your browsing history, to more personal details. And the concern is that this information can then be used
Okay.
to create these very detailed profiles on individuals, which could then be used for things like surveillance or even to target people with disinformation campaigns.
That's scary.
It is, yeah.
Okay, and then content manipulation.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, it could be things like, promoting or suppressing certain content
Okay.
in order to try to sway public opinion, maybe even interfere with elections.
That's pretty unsettling.
It is a bit unsettling.
So how have the courts ruled so far on this whole thing?
Well, so far it's been a little bit back and forth.
Yeah.
A lower court actually sided with the government,
Oh, wow.
citing those national security concerns that we just talked about. And then TikTok appealed that decision to the Supreme Court, hoping for a reversal.
Right.
So this is kind of their last shot.
Okay.
Everyone's kind of waiting with bated breath
Yeah.
to see what the Supreme Court decides.
This is it. This is the big showdown.
This is the final
Final. Yeah.
showdown.
Okay, so then there's also this whole, wrench thrown in,
Yes.
with President-elect Trump.
Yeah.
He initially was very much like, ban TikTok, I support it.
Yeah.
But now it seems like he's kind of softening his stance.
It does.
He even met with TikTok's CEO.
Right?
So what do you make of that?
Well, I think this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
You know? Well, think about it. TikTok has a massive user base, and a lot of them are young people.
That's very interesting.
Or maybe his meeting with the CEO gave him a new perspective that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But either way, I think it definitely just adds another layer of complexity to this already very volatile situation.
Now, one thing that I thought was really interesting in the article was that cybersecurity experts, they haven't actually found like concrete proof
Really?
that TikTok has actually shared US user data with the Chinese government. So if the evidence is lacking, does that mean that just the potential threat is enough to justify a ban?
That's a good question.
And, where do we draw the line then between national security and individual freedoms?
Right.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
It's a really tough one.
I mean, this case really brings up a lot of those questions about how do we balance protecting our national security with upholding those basic freedoms?
Yeah.
Freedom of expression, privacy.
Yeah.
There are no easy answers.
Yeah.
This is a complex issue.
So to recap, we've got freedom of speech versus national security.
That's a clown.
We've got this huge social media giant battling the U.S. government. And then we've got a newly elected president.
Yeah.
Who may be at odds with what his own administration is doing.
Yeah, it's a whirlwind. It is.
It's a lot going on. But I think no matter what happens, this conversation surrounding data privacy, censorship online,
absolutely,
and the global influence of these tech companies.
It's huge.
I mean, this is just the beginning.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
This is just one chapter.
One chapter.
A much, much larger story.
For sure.
So, what do you think?
Yeah.
What role should governments play in regulating these online platforms?
It's a big question for all of us to consider.
It is, and we will definitely be keeping you all updated.
Please do.
On what happens next. This is definitely one to watch.
It is.
So be sure to tune in next time.
See ya.
All right, we'll see them.
Bye.